Go ahead and get this started. So this little guy right here is for the assembly line. Whenever they put these cars together, they put the rotors on, but they haven't put the brakes yet, and so the rotor can sometimes fall off. So this is the first thing that you want to take off, and a lot of people will use a special type of tool for that. We're going to go ahead and use the old school method in case you don't have the special tool. So the old school method is if there's any rust or anything built up behind this, you can loosen that. Alright. You really want to make sure you've got this in there. Do not use the electric to break that. You're going to get a punch or something, put it in the rotor, and that'll allow us to pop that off. Easy peasy. Now we can hit it with the electric. Put your bolts in the same place so you don't lose them. Now the next bolts to take off are these two back bolts. You'll see one right here and there's another one at the top. We're going to say that's about what, 10 millimeter what it feels like. Grab a 10 millimeter. Yep, we got it. And these aren't really super crazy tight because they slide. Give them a little break. Usually you can just take them out with your fingers. Some of these are hex bolts, some of these are the triple square bolts. This one's just your regular bolt like that. We're going to hit this with the electric just to make it a little faster. And from there, the caliper portion slides off. I'm going to go ahead and put that aside. Alright, next thing that needs to happen is we need to take off the back bolt. And the back bolts, you'll know that they hold the caliper bracket. So this is the caliper bracket. This is what's holding the brake pads in. And there's going to be one bolt here and one bolt here. I am inverted. That one right there. We're going to loosen those right now. It helps to have a really nice big breaker bar. Second one has a little bit of stuff in the way, so we're just going to make it a little longer. Got a good angle on that. And then once you loosen this one, you can take off the bracket assembly. Next thing is also the hardware. You replace the hardware and lubricate as well. Next, very important, these are called your slide pins. So these guys will move a little bit like that as the piston moves in and out of the caliper. With those, you just kind of hold the plastic and she pops out. One might have this little weird black thing on it. Make sure it goes back in the same one you took it out of. So let's take the other side out here. See, this one doesn't have the little black thing on that. You want to clean those off. If they're really dirty, go ahead and go to the bench grinder guy and on the wheel and just clean them up a little bit, or use your brush, whichever way you want to go about cleaning it. It doesn't have to be crazy clean, but you want to have some fresh, clean surfaces and also the new grease as well. Next thing that'll happen here is we're going to go ahead and take the rotor off. And then we're going to send this away to go get cut. We're going to do the same thing to the other side now. Alright, so we've got our suitable container for our brake fluid. We're going to go ahead and push the fluid out. If you've taken the pads assembly out of the other side so you can get both rotors cut at the same time, you're going to need to put something inside the other piston so that when you push on this one, you're not going to get this one, because it's hydraulics, Pascal's law, the force will come out here. So I've got something here to stop this one so it doesn't kick out while I'm trying to push this one in and we have a problem over there. So one of those things just to keep an eye on if you've done both at the same time. It's a time saver, but it does require you to do a little bit more. To get some pressure on it. Once it starts to move, now I'm going to go ahead and hit my bleeder screw, open that up. You'll see the fluid start to go out. This fluid has usually been kind of sitting in the pot for a while, and since it does that, close it before your last click. There we go. This is the fluid that needs to be changed out usually the most, because this one just stays in that pot, gets really hot, and it really doesn't circulate like the rest of the hydraulic fluid. We've got our piston pushed in. Now what we're going to do is clean up these guys, our slider pins, and as you see, they clean up pretty easily without having to do anything too bad. Sometimes if they've never done this, they will not look clean. You can paint them or you can dip them. One of the ways that I found to not get any of the brake grease on yourself, put the bolt back in, hold the bolt. And I like to put a little good goop on the front face. And then you just slide it back into its groove. Action it a couple times and remove your bolt. Same thing for the other side. My lovely wife, while I was working on this electrical on the other vehicle, was so kind as to grease the edges of the brake pad. Right here on the edges where the contact makes, and then also on the slide points of the hardware itself. Always remember, squeaker tab goes on the back. Clean the pipe. I in particular don't go too far past this seal because it's going to hit this lip on this. And then I'll kind of spin it so it gets a little bit, so it just has a nice lubrication for that seal right there, and it'll last a little bit longer. Now, kind of like a toaster, you just slide her on. Bottom bolt first, just so you can get something in there. Aligning this one is probably the hardest part of the whole job. being particularly fun. But that's mechanics. Helps to have a good eye on it. See, once I got in here and actually got in on it, it went right in. All right, let's go ahead and send those home. Husky electric, like 75 bucks. Incredible. Probably one of my favorite tools. Not too loud. Quite ergonomic. Gets the job done, and I didn't spend $400 on a ratchet. That's why God gave you hands. All right, now that those are on, last little bit here. Squeeze your pads. Bolts you use to hold them up. One day I want to have my own school instead of videos, but this will do for now. All right, let's get a 10mm socket. Like I said before, slide pins don't have to be really tight. Sometimes you will need to do something special, and that's that right here. This bolt will start spinning on you while you're trying to put this one in, and you just need to hold that in place. There's a thin wrench works better than a regular wrench. Because sometimes this will be really thin or there's not enough room. This one has great material area, but if you have too thick of a wrench, you'll start hitting this rubber. And sometimes they have a little stopper that actually just hooks it in, and then it doesn't have any problems at all. So now that we've got this whole thing assembly done right here, we've already pushed all that liquid back out. We're going to need to push some back in. So the first time you get in the car, before you ever start it, before you start taking chocks off and getting ready to drive away, you need to pump the brake until you have a solid brake. Once you've pumped the brake and you have a solid brake, you need to refill the reservoir. Also, if you took out a lot of fluid, fill the reservoir first, or else you're gonna pull in air and then you're gonna have to bleed the whole system, do it all over again. Setting the brake pads. A lot of people will just drive it really fast and then slam on the brakes. That's not what's going on here. Setting the brakes is actually setting the resin of the pad. The pad itself, when they squeeze it and put it together under high heat, it's like a compressed type particle board in a way. And you gotta gently warm it up. So you're gonna drive it around. You're gonna brake from 40 miles an hour down to 20, like if you're going to a light. Then you're going to drive a little bit, slow it down again, almost like regular driving. You want to get the resin pre-warmed up for this aggressive action you're about to kind of take. So now that you've got it nice and warmed up, you've been braking a couple times, nothing aggressive, slowing down faster from 40 to 20, 40 to 10, 40 to 30, then you're going to get a good speed on you. Still, it doesn't have to be fast. 40 miles an hour is just fine. And our next procedure is called the ABS bleed up procedure, which is you're going to slam the brakes and activate the ABS. You want the ABS to come on. Brrr, that sound should happen. And what that is going to bleed all the extra air out of that and also tighten up this system. That final brake is going to set the ABS and set the brake pads for good future braking. After you do that procedure, you should feel a significant amount of extra braking on top of the good braking that you've gotten from your new brakes. Then you have officially done your procedures for the brake job, new resurfaced rotors, don't just cut your rotors because you know what you're supposed to do it. You need to measure the thickness and find out what the minimum discard thickness is. Because the minimum discard thickness means that these brake rotors have an amount, and once they get past a certain amount, they can't be cut. They're no longer used anymore because the material is so thin, it'll start to warp and waver on you, and then you're going to end up with a cracked rotor. And you never cheap out on brakes. You never cheap out on safety. Thank you for joining Humble Hands for this brakes tutorial. We appreciate you. We love you. Stay humble.